Hi everyone, Nigel Saunders here. I'm preparing my Australian umbrella tree to go in the fall bonsai shows. This tree is the large leaf Schefflera, not the dwarf Schefflera. So these are a temperate tree, whereas the dwarf leaf Schefflera is a tropical tree. So these can take a bit more cold. They do have the larger leaves, but they still make an attractive bonsai. The beauty of this tree lies in the trunk and the aerial roots. It gives it a real kind of tropical look. I'm going to start today by cleaning up some of the leaves. There's some hanging down that kind of block your view of the trunk, and there's a few leaves on the interior that are kind of congested, so I'll prune those away. I'm going to start, there's a leaf hanging down really low here. Now I have two options. I could prune the entire leaf off, which would look okay, but it's nice to have something coming forward. Or you can just prune like part of the leaf off, just one of the leaflets. So I'll start with that and see how it looks. Be careful I don't cut more than one off. So I think this one still is hanging down too much. I think that looks better. And then this lowest leaf here, it's also hanging down and kind of blocking your view of the branch. So I'll take that away, and I think this one on the inside too. It clears up your view of the trunk here. There's another one on this side. I could take the one little leaflet off, just kind of raising that canopy up. And then I don't think I need to remove these ones. You know, they're not really blocking much other than some trunks going up. But there are some on the interior here. It's very congested. I'll show you that. So in here, there's some leaves growing that are kind of growing inside the branch structure, and they're getting kind of crumpled up. So I need to prune those away. So I'll have to rotate it around and find out where that leaf is originating from. Well, I'll start, there's a yellow one back here I can prune away. And this one, it's hard to see where it comes from the trunk. I'll just have to start pruning the leaves away, I guess. Well, right here is one of them. That's got part of that out, and then there's one up higher here. Hold on. Just put a leaf underneath the pot to stop it rattling around. There. Okay, let's figure out what's going on here. So this leaf needs to be cut away right here. I think that's got it. Yeah. Okay, and there's one more back here that I need to get out. Okay, there it is. Okay. Okay, that's got all those leaves out of the interior of the tree. I guess I could prune this one away too. It's kind of hanging down. I'll just take this one right off there. Okay, that looks good now. Here's a look at the tree now. So I think everything's looking good, except there's a leaf sticking up kind of a bit out of the profile here. I can't prune off the whole leaf because there's another one in front. There's kind of two leaves here. But I could prune just the one sticking up off. So I'll do that right here. Like that. That improves the profile a bit. That one leaf is kind of my other option, you can see that, you know, there's this shape of the canopy and then there's this shape of the canopy. I could remove all these leaves up top here and try and get it down to this shape, which would be a better height. It would mean that the one branch coming up at the front would have no leaves on it, which isn't so good. However, I think overall it'll improve the look of the tree. If it ends up not looking so good, I don't have to put it in the show. The only reason I'm putting it in the show is I think it's an interesting species and it's got a cool looking trunk and aerial roots on it. It's something different. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to try pruning away that upper canopy, see what I have left, and see if it still looks okay. All right, here I go. So I'll have to get rid of this one. These two have to go. The one at the back here has to go. This one would have to go. And I think this one too. Now, what am I left with here? This one has to go. So there's one back here kind of a bit out of the profile, and maybe this one too. All right, let's take those off. That one's gone. And this one also. This one too. Pretty drastic. Okay, that's got the canopy down. Let's have a look at it from the front now. Here is a look at the tree now. I think that's, close to the final proportions of the tree. It does look a little less full. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's not quite show ready, this tree. I think I'll wait a year, see if I can develop the canopy better, and maybe even, grow it out evenly larger and wider, and I think it'll look better. I think if I put it in the show this year, it's looking okay, but not fantastic. So I think I'll just let it grow another year and put it in the shows maybe next year. I'll give my Australian umbrella tree a good water and put it back on the bench. All right, here I go. There's the back of the tree. All right, I'll put it back in its usual spot back here. The next trees I'll prepare for the show is my root over rock cedars. Here's a look at the group of 3 cedars. They're root over rock. They were started from seeds. They're not very big trees. Last time I showed the tree on top of this white ceramic table because the white ceramic table kind of matched the white rock that it's growing over. And I'm not sure if that's how I'll show it. I'm going to try it on one of Matt's wooden stands and see how that looks. Here it is on the wooden stand, and I think it looks better on here. It needs a bigger base. That ceramic one is a little bit too small underneath the tree. So I need to do a lot of moss work. The moss is growing really long and fluffy. I'll have a look at the trees and see if there's any pinching I need to do to kind of improve the shape a little bit. And I'll clean up the rock. There's a bit of liverwort and a few weeds growing on it. So some basic tidy up work for the show. I'm going to start by cleaning up the weeds. My liverwort here that's covering up the roots. So I'm wondering, this moss here in this clump, I'm probably better to strip it off and apply new moss because it's so thick. It's hiding most of the rock back here. And yeah, it just doesn't look very miniature. Yeah, it might be the case with a lot of this moss. It's just grown too thick and it needs to be taken off. Okay, decision time. I need to decide if I'm going to strip this moss off. It's not bad looking moss. It looks quite nice. Maybe the solution is to keep the fluffy moss here, the moss here, and kind of strip out a section in the middle so you can see the roots better. I'll try that. Not much point having a root over rock planting if you can't see the roots over the rock. How is that looking? It's difficult. Like I have a mass here and a mass of the rock here, and they kind of balance each other. But sure hides a lot of the rock. And maybe the rock isn't that important. It's a tough decision. This is very thick and it's like, it's not very broken up. It doesn't look very miniature. I'm stepping back, having a look at the planting, and that blob of moss over here definitely does not look miniature. So it's going to have to come off. I think I could do more in this landscape area than just have a big blob of moss. I mean, I could have rocks, I could have pathways, I could have little clumps of moss. So off it comes. Yeah, that's a really thick clump of moss. Yeah, there's some nice features of the rock here that are just hidden with that moss. Now it's possible I could keep the moss on this side, but I think this side it needs to be removed. Oh, there's some kind of a grub in the soil. See that? Those are usually those crane flies, and they do eat roots, so I'm glad to find that and get rid of it. And they're usually near the surface. They're usually just under the moss. And I think they prefer to eat the moss over like the roots of a tree, but they will eat tree roots, so it's a good idea to get them out of there if you can. Alright, it's starting to move around now. Okay, I'll give you a new home outdoors. I think the planting is looking better with that moss removed. I like how it's kind of built up with moss on this side, and this side is more open. And I'm thinking of maybe creating, this is a water feature, so we've got the land and the water here. I think that would look quite nice. Here's a close-up of that area. Yeah, that would look quite nice. Or even just a fine layer of moss in this area, like a grassy plain with the mountain rising up. You might notice that it's getting quite dark out. It's not late in the day, it's just clouded over, and I think we might get more rain. I'll clean up this area of the landscape, pruning these roots back, preparing it for either sand or moss, whatever I decide to do. I think it is suited for a land water penjing. I think that would look good. I do have my other cedar I'm showing that is similar. It has a land water feature. So, but I think, you know, you got to go with what looks good. It's nice to see the white root tips. It means that it's still growing actively. I guess there's still time in the year for these to grow. I think I will go with a land water penjing. Have some, white sand here to represent water. Maybe a little transitional area here. I think it'd look quite nice. So to do that, I need to dig out a little more of this soil, just to get my sand level correct. It's a little bit high right now. Okay, I think that'll allow me to get a nice layer of sand in here now. All right, here I go with the sand. This is the white industrial sandblasting sand. I'm going to try it. If it's too bright looking, I'll use the toned down sand. But I think I need something bright because the rock is so white. At least that's my feeling. Okay, I better step back and have a look at this. See if I like it or not. I'm stepping back, having a look at the landscape. So it's a little too much white water. I definitely need like a transitional shoreline. And I think that'll look quite nice. So what I need is some stones, I think. Stones and maybe the sandy colored sand to create kind of a beachfront. Here's a look at the shoreline from above, and you can see there's just too much white here. It needs like a transitional area, a beachfront. So once again, I'll have to find stones. I'll have to find some kind of small rocks to make my shoreline. And the rocks will have to match the rock here, so it'll have to be white to a light tan beige color. I collected some gravel from the driveway. Before I do that, I think I need a bit of moss here. Right now the shoreline is pretty straight, so that would kind of break it up a bit. So I will add a bit of moss down here. Having it kind of jutting out into the water, or you know, maybe my shoreline will be broken up. Put another clump here. And I need a little piece beside my roots here, like that. I need a little bit in amongst the roots as they kind of transition down to the shoreline. I think a little bit over here and across here. Replacing all that thick moss with some finer, better looking moss. So that's looking better. The shoreline isn't so straight anymore. Piece back here. And I think a piece in here. Yeah, I think that's looking good for a shoreline. Now I'm going to add my stones. I hope this looks good. If not, I'll have to take them away. Well, I think it looks okay. Once I arrange them a little better. Again, it's just a transitional area, and I think it kind of works. And I will put some darker sand over top of this, over the stone part. Okay, how's that looking? Yeah, that looks better. So now I'll get some playground sand and just kind of put it around this area and water it down. Alright, I've got some playground sand, and I will just sprinkle that Again, sort of a transition between the moss and the rocks. And now I'll water that in. All right, here I go with the water. Here is a look at the landscape now. I think it looks very, very miniature. It makes the trees look like giants. So next, I'll need to prune up the trees. I'm stepping back, having a look at the trees now. So I can see a few branches in the middle here that need pruning. They're sort of out of place. Maybe a little pinching in the apex would help the apex get a little more shaped. And maybe just, a little pinching here and there. Some of these loose looking branches at the bottom, they probably look better removed. Okay, let's start the work. Yeah, I think this branch would look better gone. So I'll remove that entirely. That looks better. Gives a clearer view of the trunks. There's one hanging straight down here that could go to like that. I like these drooping ones. They look nice. They could use just a bit of pinch or tip pinching to kind of tidy them up a little bit. Can't do a whole lot at this stage. Now, there's one hanging here I don't like. That one needs to go entirely. Like that. There's another funny one hanging down here. I've got to see where it comes from. It's coming from the tree behind. And I think I'll try pruning it back. And then part of that branch sticks out over here. I don't really think I need that at all. So I'm going to take that whole upright section off and take this one back to here. Shortening that. That looks better. I still have part of it sticking through. Shorten this one too. I still don't like that. I'm going to have to take this segment off here. There, that's looking better. There's a bit of space there. There's a stub sticking up here I'll take back. There's a branch coming back across the trunk line here. I can remove that. Like that. This one looks okay, but that other one was just too much. Got that mosquito in midair. There's another one here that crosses. I think that would look better gone. If I can get in here. There. And then there's a lot of confusion going on up here. I think I need to sort this out a bit. Remove some vertical growth. Sort out a few crossing branches. I think this one's too long. So is this one. Pinch the tip. Pinch the tips. Now, I think I've got to go up to the apex. So the apex is a little out of shape, so I'll start pinching it back. Just to make it a little more compact. Yeah, I think they're much more balanced now. Now there is, on the third tree back there, there's some foliage hanging down a bit too low there. I'll get rid of that. It's kind of hanging down on top of the rock. And I think it would look better just without that. Like that. And there's one out the back too. If you see this one, it comes from this tree. And it's kind of hanging too low. So that's got to go also. So I'll take it off right at the base here. And then I have a couple of hanging branches here, which are nice, but they're a little long. Let me just see them from the front again. Yeah. And there's one in here too. So I think I'll reduce this one back, keeping part of it. This one too. And this one in here. I have a feeling that one can just go totally, so off it goes. Yeah, it looks much better. Now you can see the three trunks a little more clearly. I'll clean up here, then I'll try out the cedar planting on the display stand. I think my little group of 3 cedars looks good on this wooden stand. Let's fly in now and have a look. You can almost feel the waves crashing against the shore and the wind whistling through the cedars. Yeah, this penjing really gives me a feeling of naturalness and nature. My 3 cedars underwent quite a transformation today, and I think I've created quite a nice little miniature penjing, land and water, and it really reminds me of like Lake Superior, the northern shores of Lake Superior. That rugged rocks with the cedars growing on them and the water. Yeah, it really evokes a feeling of nature with me. So that is all for today. I'm Nigel Saunders. Thanks for joining me in the Bonsai Zone.